Thanks for tuning in to Steel City Football, the 4-1-2. It's a great day to be a Pittsburgh Steeler. Let's jump right in. Is Coach Tomlin evolving right before our eyes? You know, Coach Tomlin, for a very long time, he would always stick to the course, stick to the plan. He's like the captain of the ship. He really believes in what he does. And if that means going down with the ship, he is willing to go down with it. We have seen that for a lot of years now where Coach Tomlin, he has a certain philosophy, and the Pittsburgh Steelers and Coach Tomlin are going to go with that philosophy no matter what the circumstances are. And Coach Tomlin thinks that philosophy can win every single time. And for a long time, his philosophy wasn't working. And during the summertime, when Coach Tomlin was being interviewed by the media, he said, "I'm always open to change." And I think we're starting to see that as Pittsburgh Steelers fans right before our very eyes. Now, I'm not talking about ESPN right now because ESPN, when things are going good, Coach Tomlin is the greatest coach in the world. And when things are going bad, it's everybody else's fault. Put that to the side for a minute. I believe that everything starts with Coach Tomlin. The good, the bad, the personnel decisions, who plays, who doesn't, the type of offense the Steelers are going to run, the type of defense that they're going to run. And everybody is going to say, oh, all these new wrinkles are from Arthur Smith. This is Arthur Smith's offense. And that's why the Pittsburgh Steelers are having success. And then the new defense that we're running, where linebackers are blitzing and Jalen Ramsey is blitzing from the slot. Peyton Wilson is covering a slot while a cornerback is blitzing. These different blitz packages and the different things that we're doing on defense. Now that Coach Tomlin is having success again and has a 4-1 record and looks on his very way to winning the AFC North, you can't say that Coach Tomlin isn't responsible for the winning. We can't say now, you can't be like ESPN right now and say, oh, well, the only reason why Coach Tomlin is winning is because he brought in Aaron Rodgers, which was a great move by Coach Tomlin, the way that he played it. He didn't act like a hard ass with Aaron Rodgers. He let him take his time. Aaron Rodgers was having some personal problems, and then Aaron Rodgers signed. If Coach Tomlin would have played his cards differently, Aaron Rodgers probably would have retired. So you got to give Coach Tomlin credit for that. So when Coach Tomlin and the coaches are sitting down in these meetings and Arthur Smith says, I want to do this jumbo package with Spencer Anderson, Coach Tomlin is the one signing off on these packages. If Coach Tomlin didn't want this new offensive system to be in place, it would not be in place. Just like when players get drafted, some of them work out and some of them don't. And those decisions, the final say on all decisions by the Pittsburgh Steelers comes from Coach Tomlin. And my point being is this: I think this time around, more than any other time, Coach Tomlin is really listening to the offensive coordinator. He's really listening to the defensive coordinator. He's taking it all in, and you're starting to see changes in the Pittsburgh Steelers offense and defense. Noticeably, in week one, Aaron Rodgers was under center. He was being pressured all day long, trying to do play action, play fakes. You notice the Pittsburgh Steelers went to the shotgun there. Aaron Rodgers is still doing play fakes out of the shotgun, but that being in the shotgun gives Aaron Rodgers more time with the back there to chip to help the offensive lineman. In the past, would anything have changed? Would anything at all changed? Probably not. We probably would have run the same offense every week, slamming our heads into the wall. But instead, changes have been made. Changes have been made on the offense. Changes have been made on the defense. I love when Jalen Ramsey is next to Peyton Wilson on the line of scrimmage, and Peyton Wilson is covering the slot receiver, and Jalen Ramsey is blitzing. Because if you're a quarterback and you're making a split decision, you're probably going to think it's the opposite way around. And I seen that in a lot in the game this past weekend versus the Cleveland Browns. I saw that a lot with Peyton Wilson. You're starting to see linebackers blitz more. Different things are being done by Coach Tomlin, and Coach Tomlin deserves praise and credit for adapting and changing. Fine, it might have came a few years late. It might have came after a lot of frustration, but Coach Tomlin has kept his word when he says he is open to change. He said it in the summertime when Coach Tomlin said this to Pat McAfee at Latrobe during training camp. that he is open to change. And you're seeing that. We're all seeing it before our eyes. Coach Tomlin is evolving as a coach. Against the Patriots, I said to myself, this is going to be a long season. I thought the Steelers looked absolutely horrendous against the New England Patriots. Kind of looked like the same old thing. And we go into the Minnesota Vikings game after the New England Patriots game. And I don't know what happened. Maybe Coach Tomlin sat down with his assistants and said things need to change. And then all of a sudden, things have changed drastically for the better. The Pittsburgh Steelers look like an entirely different team. And don't forget, when Aaron Rodgers was having problems in his family, his personal life, and the media was riding him to no end, if Coach Tomlin would have took that hard-ass approach, being the drill sergeant coach, Aaron Rodgers probably says, peace. I'm going to ride my surfboard at the beach in Malibu. I'm done playing football. So the way that Coach Tomlin also handled the Aaron Rodgers situation has saved the Pittsburgh Steelers' entire season, because I've said this all along. With Aaron Rodgers at quarterback, the Pittsburgh Steelers have a chance to win every single game. Yes, and that does include the Buffalo Bills and the Kansas City Chiefs. Remember our last playoff game playing in Buffalo with Mason Rudolph? We played a good game. TJ Watt was out. We just didn't do enough on offense. Mason Rudolph played a good game. I think this year that the Pittsburgh Steelers beat the Buffalo Bills in the AFC Championship, and we are on our way to the Super Bowl. Aaron Rodgers right now is playing absolutely phenomenal. Right now, Aaron Rodgers is on pace to have the same numbers and stats that he did in 2021 with the Green Bay Packers, where he threw for 4,115 yards, 37 touchdowns, and 4 interceptions. His QB rating was 111.9. Right now, Aaron Rodgers on the Pittsburgh Steelers has thrown for 1,021 yards, 10 touchdowns, 3 interceptions. It actually should be 11-2. We all saw what happened with the pass intercepted because of Pat Freiermuth and Calvin Austin. And Aaron Rodgers' QB rating is 105.4. That's the highest rating he's had since 2021. Aaron Rodgers is back. And Coach Tomlin is making the adjustments on the offensive and defensive sides of the ball for the Pittsburgh Steelers to be ultra successful in 2025. I think Coach Tomlin is evolving before our eyes and keeping his word that he is open to change. You have to give him credit. You can't just dismiss it. Again, after the New England Patriots game, I was done. I was like, we're the worst team in the league. We need to go in a different direction. Coach Tomlin needs to be fired. Steelers fans need to remember the last few years, we've been losing these types of games versus the Cleveland Browns. The game that we won yesterday, the last couple of years, we would have lost that game. But not now, not anymore. Remember the snow game versus Cleveland on a Thursday night? Pretty much set the ball in motion for the Steelers season to collapse, losing 6 games in a row. Remember those times? Well, I do. Remember the old saying, good teams find ways to win and bad teams find ways to lose. Doesn't have to be picture perfect. It doesn't have to be beautiful or pretty. A win is a win, and good teams find ways to win. Let's listen to Coach Tomlin's tidbits. Everything else Mike Tomlin had to say October 13th. This is what Coach Tomlin had to say about the Cincinnati Bengals trading for Joe Flacco. On the offensive side, certainly the story is Joe Flacco, and it is reasonable to expect him to be significantly better in week 2. I saw him make some anticipatory throws even last week, Tomlin said. I thought he was significantly better as the week went on. So certainly we have a full week's work ahead of us in terms of minimizing a veteran, savvy, talented thrower like him, coupled with eligibles that they have. This is what Coach Tomlin had to say about the tight end room. It's certainly an advantage for us, Tomlin said. We got a diversity of skill sets and talent in that room. We got a big one that's capable of matching up against 4-3 ends, particularly in the run game. We have one that's an oversized athlete with excellent run after in Jono Smith. We got a zone killer in Pat Freiermuth. We got a versatile guy in Connor. So the diversity of talent is a component that makes that room as competitive as it is and so helpful to us as a collective. Coach Tomlin also talked about naming another special teams captain because Miles Killebrew suffered a significant knee injury. I hadn't thought about it. I'm sure we'll think about it a little later in the week after we get some of the heavy lifting out of the way. He said names that were mentioned were Ben Scourneck and Chris Boswell. I mean, Boswell should be a special teams captain. He is absolutely phenomenal. I think that's a no-brainer. He brings a lot of value to a team. I know he's a kicker, but hey, he's part of your team, a very important part to the Pittsburgh Steelers. Aaron Rodgers explains his underthrown deep ball to DK Metcalf. Jerry Dulac asked him, "Did the wind fool you there?" He said that he actually thought it was blowing the other way, but you could just see it. It just kind of knocked his ball down. I was wondering the same thing. I was wondering if that was Aaron Rodgers' arm strength. He's getting old, but there's certain plays Aaron Rodgers throws that football, and I'm like, there's no way that could be his arm strength. Like maybe the route wasn't ran the right way. I just didn't believe at all that it was Aaron Rodgers' arm. Come to find out, Jerry Dulac asked him, and it was the wind. He thought Aaron Rodgers thought the wind was coming from a different direction when he threw the ball. Aaron Rodgers kind of looked up at the top of the stadium. I think he was looking for the wind direction. I mean, it makes perfect sense now that this is being explained to me. So the Pittsburgh Steelers have a short week coming up. Thursday night, they play the Cincinnati Bengals at 8:15 at the Cincinnati Bengals Stadium. We need to keep this train rolling. And with that being said, thanks for tuning in to Steel City Football, the 4-1-2.